You can tell if you looked at me at a young age that there was something wrong. You can tell through my eyes. The way I spoke, I really spoke under my breath, very quiet. Sentences weren't long. You can tell I was hurt, something was going on. I remember vividly this one day. We lived in a trailer park. I remember coming home and the first thing I see walking up to the door was both of my parents, my mom and my dad, on the couch, passed out, needles hanging out their arms. That moment I thought to myself, if I walk in, what do I do? What do I say? So I opened the door and I walked in. And the thing you don't want to do as a child is disturb people that are feeding their addiction. So I made a mistake by making too much noise, and the only noise I made was I just wanted to get some food. I didn't eat all day, didn't bring no food to school. So I just wanted to get some food, the leftovers we had in our house. And I woke up my dad. My dad yelled at me saying, if you make any more noise, we're gonna have a big problem. Shut the F up, he says. My mom hears this, and she gets up out of her, whatever it is, this addiction. She woke up, and an argument started happening between my dad and my mom. That very moment, my dad threw me out of the house, the trailer that we were living. I looked around and I thought to myself, like, what am I gonna do? I'm locked out. I don't want to go back inside. I went back with so much anger in me that I remember dribbling the basketball like it was taking anger out of my father. And I knew at some point I had to go somewhere. I couldn't be on the streets. I was 9 years old. So I actually spent the night at a random person's house that I knew in the trailer park. I told him exactly what was going on. My dad is beating my mom. I have nowhere to sleep, I have nowhere to go. And if you can imagine living in a trailer park, there's nothing but addicts, alcoholics. There's no one good in these trailer parks. So I just went from a home of addicts to sleeping at another home of addicts, just so I can get some rest and get away from that. Kid, I would stay at school in the basketball courts for a very long time, thinking to myself, I don't want to go home. Sometimes I would just sit there with the basketball and think to myself, like, where am I supposed to go? And I knew at some point I had to go somewhere. I couldn't be on the streets. I was 9 years old. I walk home every day thinking to myself, what's going to happen to me? Knowing that I'm going to deal with the same shit. Abuse, neglect, starvation, sexual abuse, seeing my mom get abused, watching my dad bring other women in and out of the house. This is all I know. This is all I see. This is all I'm a part of. What else am I going to do? When something gets built into your psyche and your DNA, you don't think there's any other hope. I've sat in the rain with the basketball. I'd rather sit in the rain than go deal with what I had to deal with through my life. I started to really fall in love with the basketball. It started to make me feel a certain way that nothing else can make me feel. Who do you got? You got basketball, you got the ball. Love the game, my outlet. That was my drug. Basketball became my outlet. Basketball got me through school. Basketball got me through college. Basketball got me through my life. It allowed me to express. And everyone has their ways to express. Basketball was my drug. I remember dribbling the basketball like it was taking anger out of my father. Basketball allowed me to express what I was feeling, because at that age I couldn't really get to my father. So the basketball became my outlet. I roamed the streets at a young age, looking for food, looking for money, looking for a place to lay my head, because at home in that trailer park was abuse, was neglect. I had no one to turn to, was lonely, very lonely, man. There's a lot of things that we did as young children that no one should have to really do. One of them was figuring out ways to try to actually eat. We would go up and ask people for their carts if we can take them back for them, and if we can keep the quarter. We just knew that we had to spend almost every waking minute that we were up trying to get some money to buy some food. Sometimes there would be change left over in the change machine. And hopefully we were praying there was even a dime, even a quarter even, just to help us. And we were so happy when sometimes there was some change left over. And the mornings where we'd go around to each trailer park in our area and really collect all the bottles, the pop cans, beer bottles, because there was a lot of alcoholics and we knew that. We'd go up door to door, trailer to trailer, and ask for everybody's bottles. Sometimes just knowing that they were too hungover or drunk to get up, we would just take their empties and walk about a couple miles with a cart full of bottles down to the bottle depot and cash in our bottles. And we were happy if we got $5 worth of bottles. The most things you can buy with $5 is going bulk. And it wasn't the expensive stuff like peanuts and nuts and stuff. It was candies. Candies were cheap, chocolates were cheap, cookies were cheap. So we'd get the cheapest thing possible that you can buy. And all these things that were so unhealthy for you, but we did it because we know it would last longer and we knew that it would at least feed us. Some point I was so hungry that we would search through the garbage cans for bottles. And people throw food away it's either going bad and we're like, it looks good enough to eat. And we would eat it. We were hungry. So it didn't matter what we put in our belly. We ate it. We didn't care if we got sick. We just knew we needed to eat. No child should ever have to search for their own food, going through garbage cans, thinking about where am I going to get my next meal. As I sit here now, I'm glad I went through what I went through, because it made me the man I am today. It made me the person to help communities, kids, say, look, we can do this. Now, I more so give it back to the kids that are going through trauma. Try to let these kids know that even though we go through the storms, that one day if you just pursue and keep fighting for that happiness, you don't have to go through the same pain. I've had different cases where I've talked to people where even some of the young ladies were sexually abused. Like, it gets that deep sometimes that they open up to me and tell me their trauma. You get so mad. You just want to take everything away from their pain. You just want to go deal with the person who's hurt them. These kids are very talented, but yet they're going through trauma. Take your basketball. Take your anger out on the basketball like I did. Don't take it out on other people. Take your anger out on that. Make that your drug of choice. Don't do the drugs. There's so many dark times that I remember, and when I got taken away from my family and got put into foster care, I've been in a lot of group homes where they abuse you. They didn't really care about you. They were just there for the money. The system in that time was really corrupt in my eyes. Money was all that they cared about. They didn't care about our growth. Usually when people are in that system, there's only a few ways out. Drug addicts, the streets, jail, or unfortunately dead. I took my feelings to a lot of counselors, anger management courses, but I was so bitter. As I was talking to them, I was wondering, how can you relate to what I'm going through? Yes, you're educated, you can help me, you've got steps for me to deal with this pain, but do you really understand what I'm going through? Sure, they can give you ideas. Sure, they can tell you how to cope, but they really don't understand. And that's what these kids need, someone who understands. They need someone that has been through the dark times of having addicted parents, so they can say, I get it, you understand me, I want to listen to you because you went through it and you got through it. So now what I do is I reach kids through basketball. I get their attention through basketball. That allows me to have some emotional connection to them. Let them play basketball, and then we talk about the emotional stuff they're going through so they can trust me. And I love to do it. These kids matter. The future of them matter. If we don't break the cycle now, it's never going to change. And our next generation is the hope for change. Man, I just wish I had this huge mansion. I can take these kids, every one of them, and say, come with me. Let me help you. But I can't, I have to leave, and that's the hardest part for me. I just want to give these kids hope. It's not just going there and teaching them basketball. When I leave, I make sure that they have a way to contact me if they need me. And I don't just leave and say, that's it. Every one of them have my Instagram, my Facebook, my contact. I reach out and say, hey, how is everyone doing? Making sure that they try to stick on the right path. I'm not there to their everyday life, but I do what I can. And I just try to make sure that they stay on the right path. And tell them, I always tell them I'll be back.
You're gonna hit low moments. I still do. I'm 40 years old. I still hit low moments. I still go south. You're gonna hit rock bottom. Then you're gonna tell yourself, well, damn, this is it. This is where I end. We're gonna have those stops. You can either accept that, or you can pick yourself up. Move forward. It's like math. Solve one problem at a time.